What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the updated podcast. Today's date is March 28th, 2022, and it's been a pretty quiet week for the most part. I've said that for the last 2 weeks simply because, it's generally these few months are pretty quiet until we get closer to summertime-ish, and then we get stuff like E3 and a few other things that really ramp up the news and what's going on throughout the year. So to start off with, the Halo show premiered just the other day. I believe it was like 3 days ago or something like that. And it's pretty mixed on pretty much everywhere. Everyone has very mixed feelings about it. Most official reviewers, I have a Verge article pulled up right now that says that they liked the show and they like the fact that they didn't look at the games. However, a lot of other people are saying it's more of a woke type thing, and it kind of just doesn't feel right. And it feels like they just kind of put certain things in there just to hit certain criteria, which, it happens all the time in shows, movies, and stuff like that. But it's Halo. Tons of people have been a part of this universe since 2000, if not earlier. And it's a lot of people are really frustrated with how it went. I haven't watched it yet, so it's not like I can spoil anything. I'm sure it'll be decent at least, especially if you are not really totally on board with all the lore and stuff, because they didn't look at the games at all. The director of the show went on record saying that they didn't look at the games, they didn't talk about the games, they just took the characters in the world in mind, which is very weird. It's a weird thing to say that you didn't take in the biggest form of media of a franchise and you just focused on other things. That's probably the stupidest thing to say, even if it's true. You might as well just not say that and just say, hey, we built this based on the world, and just leave out that part about not looking at the games at all, because that's a lot of people were very upset about hearing that, which I guess I'm not very deep in the Halo lore, so I'll probably be fine with it. All I know is that I've heard multiple people say that the actual action scenes are pretty good and the world itself looks good. However, the story and what they actually did with the first episode just didn't feel right. And this is most of the consumer side of things. I'm not referring to this Verge article. This Verge article, they loved it, apparently. I don't know. Just natural, article things. And yeah, I probably will watch it pretty soon, like I said. According to Paramount, they said that it is their biggest, most watched premiere ever. So, good on them, I guess. It was pretty smart for Paramount to actually pick that up, considering it's a very big franchise. Next up, we have the dumbest thing this year. Definitely the dumbest thing this year. Rockstar announced GTA Plus. It is a monthly subscription of $5.99, and every month, if you play on the PS5 or the Xbox Series X or S, you get $500,000 in GTA Online, plus unlocks for past game updates, vehicle upgrades, and a bunch of other things. And they're bringing back certain events and unlocks for past special events that were only available for a limited time. And there's just a bunch of other weird random bonuses, it's just the stupidest thing ever. GTA 5 has been out for almost 10 years now. The game came out in 2013. It's a 9-year-old game, and they are still doing things like this to basically ask people, hey, give me money. I'm pretty sure this is the most valuable game ever. They have made so much money off of this game. And granted, they have said that GTA 6 is in production, but why? What's the point in this? $500,000 is laughable in GTA 5. You can just do like a heist. Congratulations, you have that same amount of money. Why spend $6 on it? It's the stupidest thing ever. A lot of people are in the same boat, and reasonably so, but it's just not going to stop people from buying it. You know, little Timmy over there is going to be like, Mommy, can we get GTA Plus? And of course, he's going to get it. And so they'll just think that, oh, we did a great job, guys. Us here at Rockstar, who have notoriously within the last 2 or 3 years fucked everything in terms of just accountability towards our player base. They ruined Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Online is trash, pretty much. I mean, everyone knows it. Everyone thinks it. And they just haven't done anything about it. It's still terrible to level up in Red Dead Online, get money in Red Dead Online. It's just, and then of course GTA 5, it's literally just spend hours and hours and hours just to get a car. Congratulations. And yeah, Rockstar is not looking good right now. That's all I gotta say. Events will be as normal for all other players, but yeah, and the subscription is only available for PS5 and Xbox Series X/S players. I think it's mainly to get those players like previous event stuff if they're like new to consoles for some reason. And yeah, still stupidest thing ever. Everyone is saying that it's the stupidest thing ever. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say about it. Next up, this actually happened like almost 2 weeks ago, but it kind of slipped my radar, is that Microsoft released direct storage on for PC. So it's an API that developers can implement into their games, and basically what it makes games do is it allows your RAM and your GPU to access your storage directly instead of going through your CPU. So it essentially makes load times faster, like really fast. So if you have like an NVMe SSD on in your PC, and I mean, some developers were reporting the possibility, not necessarily, I haven't seen it hit yet, but the possibility of 1 second load times does exist now. Like I said, haven't seen it hit yet, but we've heard reports of 1.9 seconds and like 1.7 seconds, which is insane to think about. I remember waiting minutes for something to load, and yeah, it's just crazy how fast things can load now. It's great. I mean, we of course have to wait for developers to implement this into their games. However, it can definitely help load times, and that's always a good thing. Next up, we have the studio behind PUBG, Crafton. They are now working with Solana Labs to cooperate on the development, operation, design, and marketing of quote-unquote blockchain and NFT-based games and services. Every single gaming company that has done or tried to get into like the cryptocurrency or NFT space has gotten tons of backlash, and 90% of them like walked it back. And just like the developers of Stalker 2, they walked back their plans to add NFTs to their upcoming game. And so did Team 17. They abandoned their NFT project. And it's just kind of funny because I mean, Crafton haven't really done anything lately. I mean, PUBG exists, sure, but it was notoriously laggy, buggy, like really, really not well optimized at all. And so I'm not sure what they're gonna do. It's who knows? I guess we'll have to see what happens within these next few years, or maybe even sooner if they've already started on something and they're just now announcing this publicly. So yeah, a month ago, Crafton announced their intention to get into the world of blockchain gaming, and I mean, sure, I don't really have an opinion on this NFT stuff. I will say that I generally don't see a use for something like an NFT. There's some very niche things like the Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever. Those, I mean, they technically have value because there's actually perks that come with them. But if you're just going to buy a picture of a radioactive monkey smoking a cigar for $20,000, what's the point? You know, and who knows what this means? Maybe it'll be great, and we'll all love spending our money on whatever the fuck. And then next, we actually have two pretty major game delays. I think it was last week or the week before I talked about the Justice League game, I think it was, and the Suicide Squad game. Well, I think I mentioned it possibly, the Suicide Squad, we haven't had an official release date yet, so it could still be delayed. It's kind of funny I said that because the Suicide Squad game got delayed. It got delayed all the way back to spring of 2023. So at the very least, we have a solid 3 to 4 month window where the game can release instead of a vague, oh hey, 2022. So Gotham Knights, of course, is still coming out in October. But yeah, the Suicide Squad game is 2023, spring of 2023. Blah, can't speak. And then the second delay that we learned of this week is the Sons of the Forest. It's the sequel to The Forest, and it was originally supposed to come out May of 2022. However, just a few days ago, on the 25th, we received a tweet from Internet Games, the developers, basically just saying, hey, we were overly ambitious for our May 2022 release date, so we decided to push it back to October 2022. I mean, good on them for recognizing and just stating that they were overly ambitious. They also tweeted a 5-second video with it. And if this game looks like this, it's basically just goes through a few animations and stuff like that, and just shows a little bit of the game. But like I said, it's 5 seconds long. It's not very much. But this game looks amazing if it looks like that. Like super realistic. The water looks great. The logs look great. It basically shows like a player snapping in another player's face, and then a player eating a fish, building a cabin, and then possibly putting up an archery target or something. Unsure of what that last part is. However, you can always check out the tweet if you're interested in the game and want to see how it looks. It's at EndNightGame on Twitter. You can check the tweet out. But yeah, this game looks phenomenal if it's going to look like this. Of course, it could be just in-engine footage, which most of the time is not accurate to what the game will look like in the end. However, with new technologies and the new consoles, I genuinely think that this game could look this good and be viable for consoles. So yeah, this game could look amazing. It's definitely a game that I'm picking up. I've already planned on picking it up. I still have yet to beat the first Forest, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I played it with friends, and so I'm definitely picking this game up October of this year. And then next, we have every year, I know last year, they did one. I think they did one the year before that, but Valve's Summer Steam Next Fest we finally have an official not release date, but we finally have an official event date for it. If you don't remember last year, they basically held like a little conference to show off a bunch of games, and developers were able to release demos of their games on Steam, and you were able to download them, play them. I think Resident Evil Village was one of the demos or whatever last year. And this year, from June 13th to June 20th, is the event, and they are promising quote unquote hundreds of demos. So that's kind of crazy. I guess we'll see how that works out. I mean, it could just be them over-promising and they're going to under-deliver, but with these things specifically, Valve tends to not under-deliver. Then again, I mean, it's just demos, so what's really to it? But I mean, could find out some good games. Hopefully there's Sons of the Forest demo, maybe some other important game demos. Next up, we have Sony finally actually going and possibly releasing / announcing their Game Pass competitor next week. A bunch of articles have come out because a few pretty prominent leakers in the Sony industry and around Sony have stated that their Xbox Game Pass competitor, which is codenamed Project Spartacus, is going to be revealed / released soon. However, they do say that it will not be on the same level as Game Pass in terms of new games from Sony coming out on release date on the service. I think that's kind of a killer. I feel like most of the value in Game Pass comes from the fact that I know every time they release a game, it'll be on there. And I could just load it up on my PC or my Xbox in the living room, and I could just play it. And it's great. I mean, it'll probably include some of the more recent games, like Spider-Man and the Miles Morales game or whatever that came out with the PS5. It'll probably include things like that. But I mean, I could be wrong, of course, because it's just all leaks and rumors. But it's just, I mean, of course, it'll probably still have more value to it than something like PlayStation Now, which is kind of, I believe, all they have right now, which I've tried. I've played The Last of Us 1 and 2 through that. And I think I played Bloodborne, if I'm not mistaken, through that. It was okay, but it was all like streaming on my PC, so it wasn't great. Apparently, we'll also include game streaming still. So it's basically combining PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. The quality of it, who knows? Maybe they'll be revamping their cloud services as well. I mean, for PlayStation fans, of course, I hope it's good. And it includes lots of things. And I mean, hopefully they'll announce some weird possibility of backwards compatibility, because sure, there's some things that are backwards compatible, but there's just not a lot. And then if you go back towards like the PS3 and the PS2, there's like nothing for backwards compatibility, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, sure, they're old games, who cares? But a lot of people really want to go back and play like the God of War game on the PS2. I actually remember playing that game. That game was really good, among other things, you know? And so, yeah. Last but not least, well, kind of least, I guess it's really a nothing burger until they actually do something about it. But Netflix bought another studio. I didn't know this. I was not aware of this. But if you load up the Netflix app on your phone, you can actually download mobile games that they have, which is very weird. I was not aware of this. I tried a few of them. I mean, I tried 3 different games, I think, and one of them was okay. The other 2 were kind of just weird. Like, there's a weird basketball game, and the Stranger Things games are on there. And yeah, so they bought a studio named Boss Fight Entertainment. It's yet another mobile game studio based in Texas. And it's the third studio that they have bought. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what this means. I mean, it seems like it just means they're going to be pushing more mobile games, which, I mean, good on them, I guess. The mobile game space is huge and very profitable, depending on how you do it. And I mean, I'm still kind of waiting for them to go the actual Netflix but games route, like interactive TV shows. They released one like for a limited time, like a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, shoot, if I'd be totally down for more interactive movies and shows like that shit is sick. I remember like reading the interactive Goosebumps book, and that shit was nuts. And yeah, so I mean, something like that would be cool. I don't really understand the whole mobile gaming push, but go off, I guess. Maybe this is just kind of they're getting their foot in the door to get teams, and then they'll kind of redirect those teams. However, you'd think they would kind of get teams that are more geared towards what they're looking for instead of just buying mobile game developers, because mobile game development is a lot different than most other types of development. And so, yeah, not really sure what this means. Hopefully, I mean, like I always say, hopefully it means something good for us, the consumer, because that's what matters. And other than that, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that is all for this week. This week was kind of a little weird. I didn't really put too much time into anything this week, which is all my fault, of course. And so next week should be better. And next week may be a little bit late, depending. I do have some things going on. I am starting a new job. So in that kind of rollover period, I am not really getting a weekend this week. So we'll see how that plays out. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Peace out.